What's going on, traders? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. I have my buddy Scott that came over today. Pretty much, I wanted to actually, he was asking me a bunch of questions right now during pre-market hours, so he just wanted to get a little bit of a better breakdown. One, getting introduced to trading penny stocks. So he's a friend that I have, and I just thought it would be actually a pretty good video. Right now, we're going to be analyzing certain stocks during pre-market hours. And I thought for the meanwhile, while I'm analyzing stocks, some of the questions that he might be asking might be a lot of questions that some beginners might be asking as well, or you guys might have in mind. So actually just capturing this whole experience might be something beneficial. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen while we perform technical analysis. Again, he has, this is one of his first times ever trading. He just funded his Robinhood account. So it's something that, we're going to capture from the very beginning. I'm going to talk to him about the importance, about cutting losses, short locking in profits consistently. He's going to be joining us with this $1,000 challenge. And it really comes from there. So I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be using the TechBud Solutions group chat platform, the Facebook platform, the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform, as in to do our live analysis, and then the prime berry pick checklist in the sense to plan out our trades. This is something that you guys all have access to within the TechBud Solutions Facebook platform. All the links, all the files are all provided there for you. If you guys aren't a part of TechBud Solutions already, the link is provided for you down below. That's a little bit over 21,600 members now worldwide. And the thing that we do best is we share best practices, share mistakes, and effort to promote growth. And then I get to hang out with great individuals like these that always want to get started into just creating different sources of income. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and then we can go from there. And I want to make sure that you ask, don't hesitate if you think
just ask as much as you can. All right,
just ask as much as you can, because I'm sure the more you ask, the more I answer, the better it is for everyone, right?
Yes, okay, cool.
All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen, and we can go. Thank you guys again for joining us during this morning, especially for those Mountain Standard Time, Pacific Standard Time. It is quite early. So this is pretty much my watch list. This is how I got this watch list, is something that you might be asking, how did I get these stocks? The whole point of this prime berry pick checklist, I know berry is spelled incorrect. I named it after a guy that helped me come up with the idea.
Okay.
But you can put all your stocks, all your watch lists right here. Pretty much what I do after market hours. So yesterday, I did it about 11 p.m. Was I went through my watch list on my TD Ameritrade platform. And I went based on volume, and I started performing technical analysis in stocks that have 3% potential or more, because with this $1,000 challenge, you need to be locking in 2.33% growth of profit 3 times a week.
Okay. And
cutting losses short, on average, that's how much your profit should be. So therefore, obviously, you're not going to only just have green trades. You're not only going to be making money. You have to understand that you're going to be some days that you're going to lose money, right? You're going to take losses. So it's all about minimizing your loss and locking in profit. So in doing that, you want to look at stocks that have about 3% profit or more, margins of profit. I'm going to show you how I identified that. DGAS was actually one during, if you guys could see, where is it? Oh, it actually wasn't. It was one that I analyzed, but I guess I didn't add it to my primary pick checklist. But it was one that I talked about a couple days ago, and I told you I look at about 2 to 3 days. Let's go to a 5-day analysis just so you can see. I called it out when it was actually at $17.96, if I'm not mistaken. So I called it when it was way down here. And the reason why that was such a unique stock to me, or why I found it to be so attractive, was because it had a huge spike all the way to highs of about 37, 38. I didn't really care too much about that. But I cared within the past year for DGAS that when it was at $17, if you see this area right here, that was a previous support. So in doing that, I knew that it was pretty much at a low point. So this could be a good swing trade. So for someone that is busy, working and then doing the multiple different jobs that you do, this could be something that you don't have to wake up so early in the morning to analyze or to day trade. And it's something that, if you're gonna only be able to trade for a couple hours or a couple minutes. You do your analysis, and you see that this might be somewhat confusing, especially if pretty much what I want you to focus on are the low points and the high points.
Okay.
So we're gonna use this. We're gonna click on drawing tools, and we're gonna go to trend lines. So we're gonna draw a support and resistance. Support being the low points, resistance being the high points within a margin. So obviously this is the highest. And this is the lowest it's been within the past year. We don't care about that too much right now. We care about when it was at lows of 17 It was right around there. But if you see before, that was an old support. It bounced right there. And it used to have a resistance at about $22 to $23. That was before, right? So we're going to draw resistance right there. Now, it came back, the couple days ago when I shut it out at about $17. It bounced. It started seeing signs of upward momentum. So you don't care. So I personally don't care if it's at the lowest point. That's just for it to catch your eye, right? That's one of the things. Okay, this is in my watch list. Now, when watching this, you want to make sure that you're catching it when it's seen an upward trend.
Okay.
So in doing that, you only want to invest in something, right? Like with your real estate, you only want to invest in something that will appreciate in value.
Sure.
So you buy low, sell high. So although, yes, like let's say in 2008 when the market crashed for real estate, would you always, it's kind of different because obviously real estate is going to appreciate. These are a little bit more, this isn't necessarily a penny stock, but you don't always know that it's going to bounce back in value, right? So you want to catch it at a good price, but you want to make sure that it's showing signs that it's going to come back up.
Okay.
So how do you do that? Well, you wait for it to bounce at the support that it had, so about like $18, and for it to start showing signs of upward momentum. And what I mean by that is if you focus here, it bounced, it bounced a couple days ago right here, hit the resistance here, and then started seeing a downward trend. Yes, you could have gotten in at these low points, but you would have gotten in as it was going down. You don't want to do that. You want to get it as it's showing signs of upward momentum. And then in doing that, you know that this is a support at around $17.70. The resistance is going to be, if you want to swing trade, going like long for a couple weeks, you know that the old resistance was about, $22.85. So what can you do? Well, you can say, this is my support, this is my resistance, and I'll cut my losses, at 1.5% or whatever it is that you want to cut losses on. With a, $17 stock, that gives you a good amount margin, right? So you create this whole plan of when analyzing DGAS, the low points and the high point, so where you're buying, where you're selling, and cutting losses, meaning that all of a sudden if it drops below this point that it at $17, you'll cut your losses and that's it. And you'll jump back in at something else. So now trading on how it is right now, let's see. Now trading how it is right now, it's at $22.44. So based on the previous close at about $20, I have the wrong one on. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So all these different colored lines here, is this all one company? Or are these
you mean these? I'm sorry. Yeah, because I'm using Bollinger Bands, so that might be confusing. All I want you to focus on are really the candlesticks. I'm actually going to, I'll remove it just because I can get somewhat confusing.
Okay.
I apologize. And keep asking me those questions because.
Okay.
I'm there you go. So it's just this.
Okay.
RSI indicators, when it's below 30 RSI, so if you see when it went below, right this there. Support, and it went below 30 RSI, it's indicating that it's oversold, meaning that there could have been panic sellers, whatever happened, but it was considered like to be oversold. It usually identifies that it's a good buy.
Okay.
Not always though. Okay.
Okay.
Now when it goes above 70, as you can see right here, it's hitting a resistance, like it's overbought. So it's a good time to sell.
Okay.
And if you see it went over, it peaked out and then saw a downward trend. So what can you see by that? Well, look, when it was at 30, below 30, it identified that it was a good buy. And when it identified, you see this, the
spike right there.
The spike, when it goes above 70, it turns red. That means it's overbought. So then this would be a good buy, this would be a good sell. And within this profit margin, if you would have done what the RSI indicator would have told you, that's 10% profit. So with your $1,000, the day trade, again, this is all within one day because it's within one black box.
The black box, okay.
That would have been 10% potential, which would have given you a margin of profit of 10%, which would have been the amount of profit that you would have needed within a whole week.
Oh, great.
So now all you needed to do for the next 2 days is to make sure that you minimize loss and you can continue adding to that cushion that it's giving you.
That's great.
So had the resistance, started seeing a pullback, and this is what I want you to focus on. Is it started seeing a downward trend, and this is what I find it to be important. So this was this resistance, right? This was the support. So I'll go ahead and draw it from here to here because that's where it maxed out at. This was the support. So as it's coming down, where are you going to buy? Well, obviously it saw signs of upward momentum, so it stayed close to the resistance. Then it saw some signs of downward trend. That's why it was somewhat like catching my eye. It wasn't as low as I wanted it to be because it's at $19.50. So I wanted it to be a little bit closer to this $19 mark right here to be a better buy. But we called it out pretty well. it didn't go to the price we wanted to, and because it didn't go to the price that I wanted it to, I didn't trade it, and I didn't feel comfortable trading, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Although it did have a really good day, you don't care about what you could have made, or the whole point of this prime berry pick checklist is for you every single day to at least dedicate 15 to 20 minutes to identify potential on certain stocks within your watch list, add them to this little area right here that you're going to analyze during pre-market hours if you're trading, and to set up a plan. So I'm going to go down the list right now, and I want you to understand that if they're not at the point that you want to be trading them at, to not trade them. Don't worry about, like, even if you go through your whole watch list and there's nothing that you see potential in, will you buy a house will you buy a house just to buy a house? I want you to understand that is because so many people just feel forced to buy a penny stock because they want to try to make money. But if the deal isn't there,
then don't do it. If
the margin of profit isn't there, then why are you investing your money in something, right? So that's definitely true. So let's go down the list. Do you have another question for me?
Yeah, so regarding that, now I know you mentioned if it's not a good enough buy, don't do it now. How do you, I mean, of course, the lower the price, the better, but how do you determine, I don't want to buy this right now, or let's go ahead and buy it? I mean, how does that go about determining those things?
So let's say rig right now. This one was not in my watch list at all. But again, I'm doing a 2-day analysis. I can go a little bit further back, getting a better understanding on how it's been playing out. It's showing up signs of downward trend, right? It used to have a support and resistance, a pretty solid support around $10, resistance at 1060. Had a huge drop, right? And then has a support now at 945, has a resistance. So if you see right here, this is all I want you to focus on. Resistance that it's peaked out at is going to be 1030. What I mean by that is that used to be an old support, meaning that it used to hold above 1030, and it's now going to be a new resistance. Even with that, I mean, that's a pretty high resistance. What I want you to focus on is the resistance right here. And the reason that I'm telling you to focus on that resistance is because it wasn't able to break it during pre-market hours. And during pre-market hours right now, it wasn't able to break it. Now, it has a new support at 1045. So what I mean by that, as of yesterday, Friday, had a support at 945 and a resistance at $10, right? Now this margin of profit is about 5.6%. The reason I know how to calculate that is I use a trend line. I'm not just coming up with these numbers on the top of my head.
I was going to say it's pretty good if you know on the top of your head.
No.
Okay, well that's great. Okay.
Yeah. So now, how do you set up a plan for this? So look, I use the primary pick checklist to set up a plan. So this is the support, this is the resistance. This is my margin of profit that I understand. And the reason that I find this to be so attractive is because during pre-market hours, so you see this dashed line? This half is after market hours as of Friday, and this half is pre-market hours as of right now. Now we have 10 minutes, as you guys can tell, before the market opens. It had a huge spike all the way to the resistance. It didn't break, and now it's having a pullback. That is such a common thing, and people don't like trading like stocks usually that see a red day, but stocks that, you don't always just want to jump into the stock because it's showing, like I can almost promise you that DGAS, although it's up so much, right as the market opens, so many people are going to start locking in the profits that it's going to see a pullback, meaning that it's going to start seeing a downward trend. Once it sees a pullback and it sets its support, it'll most likely bounce at the old resistance, like at $21, and start to jump back up again. When it starts to jump back up, that's where you buy in. Where's the support? It's at $21. So if that's where it bounces, then $21 is the support. You buy when it starts showing signs of upward momentum. So at $21.20, whatever it is that you need to do. So $21.21, and then the resistance at like $22. Then you sell. You can follow with the trailing stop loss, and your plan to sell can be at $22. And overall, you'll cut your losses if it goes below $21, because when it breaks this support, then it's going to continue to drop back down, and you don't want to write it down. So all you need to do is every single time you trade, or based on the style of trading that I have, is it more of a technical trade? You want to make sure you know where you're buying, know where you're selling, and know where you'll cut your losses. So let's go to rig one more time. The reason I find this one again so attractive is because of the huge pullback that it's having back to the support. So it's very simple for me to understand. So I'm gonna put that, my purchase price, the support right now we can just write it all out. Rig, right now the price is around like $9.50. Again, you're just writing it out to make sense of it. You're gonna plan out your trade. Support is at $9.45. Resistance was at $10, right? Yeah, $10. again, something very simple. Your stop loss will be right below the support. So if the support is at $9.45, then if it drops below it, what does that mean it's at? So it's $9.44, right?
Okay. Yep,
Okay.
Below that.
So in doing that, then your purchase price is, you want to make sure that once the market opens, that if the market opens and it starts to see a downward trend, that you wait for the bounce. You don't care if it goes back down to $9.45, but you want it to start to rise. So if you want to get in at like, $9.50 when it bounces and it validates your support, then do that and still cut losses below $9.45. So let's say my ideal purchase price will be at $9.50. Again, I don't care about getting in at the lowest price. All I care about is making sure that I'm buying or investing in something that appreciates, right?
Okay.
$9.50 target sell price is $10, right?
Okay.
Max stop loss is $9.44. And then it calculates everything. Your percentage risk for loss is 0.63%, and your percentage for profit is 5%. So that makes sense to me. The reason this makes sense and it's worth my time and my day trade is because my potential for profit is 5%. My potential for loss is 0.63% with this plan that I have set up. I understand the support, the resistance within the past 2 days. I understand that if I wait for the pullback and wait for the bounce, I'm getting in on a sign of an upward trend, and I'm trading it because I see value in it. So if you don't see value in it right now, then you don't trade it. But because of this, my percentage for risk for loss is less than my percentage for profit. So this works with everything, right? Now, all I wanted to do is to get a little bit below 35 RSI, and it's actually doing that. So I think this is going to be one that I'm going to watch right now, and that's really just it. So what question?
What's RSI?
The RSI, the 3070. So
okay.
So again, how I had a huge drop, but then it shows that it was at below 30 RSI. This is why I'm telling you that you don't go solely based on an indicator, because although yes, it did go at 970 and it bounced back up, it still dropped below it. So you never go based on that. What I like to go based off is to help me identify, okay, it's potentially a good buy. You still do your technical analysis. You still plan out your trade every single time you trade. You never trade based on anyone else's opinion, nor should you ever trade, without really having a plan, because if you're really investing in something without really understanding like what you're getting yourself into, you don't really understand your risk, right? Then you're kind of going in blindly, right? Where are you going to sell? Well, I don't know. Where am I going to buy? Well, I don't know. Where are you going to cut your losses? Well, I don't know. Well, then why are you trading it, right? That's one of the biggest things that I want to make sure you understand, is the importance of making sure you have a plan. It's such a simple concept of having a plan, where you're buying, where you're selling, where you're going to cut your losses. But I can tell you it's one of the most challenging things, and I'm sure everyone within TechBud Solutions can almost vouch for that. There's 290 people watching this right now.
Oh, nice.
It's such a simple thing that people, I think, make a mistake on, is because they don't, just like saving money. Like everyone should be saving money, but they don't, because life gets in the way, right? It becomes somewhat difficult, but it's such a simple concept. Just like trading, the idea of investing money, like buying low, selling high, cutting losses short, and locking in profits consistently. Locking in profits consistently and cutting losses short is one of the most difficult things for people to actually
get a grasp of.
It's not necessarily get a grasp of it. It's very easy for them to understand, but it's very hard for them to just be disciplined in doing that. And that's one of the biggest things. I'm not obviously one of the most successful day traders. I don't make millions of dollars trading penny stocks, but I can tell you, with the amount that I risk and the amount that I continuously lock in profit, although my profits are not 10, 20, 30% every single time I trade, but even with this $1,000 challenge, locking in on average just this 2.34% on average every single day, 3 times a week, just locking in that profit. Yes, you're gonna have 5% days. All I'm telling you is just set your stop loss, meaning that, do you know what a stop loss is?
No.
Well, that's a good thing to. I'll explain to you the different styles of order type within your Robinhood app.
Okay.
But a stop loss means all of a sudden, if they let's say we buy in. I'm gonna start sharing my screen because the market's about to open in 3 minutes. But I'll show you why you use stop losses and the different types of orders. So, let's say I'm most likely gonna trade rig because I really like it. And I just want to look at one other stock or ETF, so JNUG. Well, that's lame. $17 and it's at $16.50. And then the old support was around $16.42. So identifying that this was an old support, this is a new resistance, and it's trading right here. Like, I want to ask you, like, what would you do based on you day trading this, and it's showing that this is a margin, right? Support and resistance.
Okay, it's going down.
What would be your plan?
Well,
so where would you like to buy in? Based on this previous trend that it bounced right here and then it rose up there, there's this margin of profit.
okay,
Now it went up, it came back down, it's coming back down. Where would you wait to buy? So it used to have a bounce right here, pretty solid support from here to and resistance here. So where do you see the potential?
Well, if it's already going down based on where it was, if it's, and from what I'm seeing, it's already on a downward trend on where it was. So then it spiked up again. So I would say it'd be close to buying right around there, and then hopefully it goes on an upward trend, because in the past, from what I'm seeing, it's gone up around when it hit this mark here. I don't know what price it is at right there.
Yeah, so that's 1644. So obviously that's the low point. Again, we don't care too much about the low point. We care on when it starts to see an upward trend. So it had an old support, really, like a majority of the candlesticks stayed above 660, and that's kind of where they're staying at right now. So like this one did go a little bit below 660, but it is staying pretty solid above 660. And it has a resistance, a little resistance, just like it did before, at about 680. So maybe when it breaks above 680 and starts showing signs of upward trend, you can get in there, and then your plan to sell can be around, 1750, because that's the old resistance, as you can tell, right here. And it was an old support. So an old support becoming a new resistance, that's a very common trend. So let me go ahead and actually see with Rig and see how this one plays out. But the whole points of stop losses, when I mean like cutting losses, I guess I should have explained that to you. The whole thing, what I mean by like cutting losses short, you need to have a stop loss set, meaning that when you buy in at, let's say we're waiting for the bounce, so we're waiting for it to like go to 945 and then for it to start bouncing up.
Going up again.
So we're gonna get in at like 950. All of a sudden, if it takes a dip below 945, you want to cut your losses. That's called a stop loss, meaning that you don't have to. It's just an order that you set. The market just opened. It's not an order that you have to set yourself as it starts to drop.
Okay.
But it's an order like, let's say you bought in at 950 and it's going up, but all of us. Yeah. All right, it's actually rising. So if you see it bounce right at 955, and look, let's see if we go on DGAS. You see on DGAS, it hit the resistance here, and it's starting to, well, it's actually starting to climb. Let's see. But most likely what I think is going to happen is that it's going to come back down here to either like 22 or 21. But let's focus on. So it actually rose up pretty quickly. So from here to here, it was like 2%, so nothing crazy. AMD went lesser below 11. So I'm going to set my alerts. It didn't look like it actually went, it didn't go below the price that I wanted it to. So I'm going to right click, create my alert. And when it goes below 946, like I can try to get in right now because it's holding pretty well around 955. Right, but it actually just went below. So I just like right now, it's right here. We can turn on level 2. And then I can see where people are buying and selling. So people are buying at $9.45 now, $9.46. So again, let's just focus on this area right here. And again, we're trying to buy in at 950, but on the bounce, right? Signs of upward trend. Right now, it's actually dropping from this huge spike that it had. So it's showing signs of downward trend. RSI indicator is within it's below 35 RSI, so that's within my reach. But do you see how it's approaching 950, which is my like 951? So we're gonna see if it breaks below 950. And JNUG just bounced. It just broke above the resistance. Yeah, look, just broke below 950. So this is why we don't get in right away, because it's still showing signs of a downward trend. But we can have our orders ready. So let's say we get into rig. So buy limit. Limit buy means that you buy at the exact, like right now the market value is 9.49. You never want to buy at market value because you see how fast it changes.
It can change, okay.
Because of that, if you time you execute, Robinhood can be pretty slow, and all of a sudden you can get filled at like $9.50 all of a sudden if it takes a dip when you try to get in at 9.48 or something like that. And those cents actually matter. So I'm gonna put at $9.50 once it starts to bounce, but it's not there yet. It's still showing signs of a downward trend. So yes, I can try to get in right now, and I can like minimize my loss. So I can try to get in at $9.48, but I might stop loss out because it's still showing signs of a downward trend. It's still not showing a solid bounce. It's showing that it's holding pretty well at 9.48. If you see 9.48 and 9.47, it hasn't dropped below. But I want to make sure that we see at least one green candlestick before I jump back in. So right now it's showing it. So I'm going to put this, and then I'm going to do with, let's see, 400. Whoa. Review, and then I'll just swipe up.
It's a matter of seconds before this thing goes in, right? Your trade.
What was that?
It said it takes like a few seconds for you to for your purchase to go through on Robinhood.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So because it's showing that green candlestick,
that's positive value.
Yeah, it's showing that it bounced. It's at 9.48 right now. But all of a sudden, if it takes a dip, I want to make sure that I cut my losses. So it's at 9.50 now. But again, you never know how it's going to play out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell and then set a stop loss at $9. And if the support was at $9.45, then that's where I'm going to set my support.
And that's the lowest point, right? Support.
That's the support within this day, because obviously it's all over the place within the whole year.
Oh, okay.
But the support, so I'm going to set my stop loss at 9.45. So if it drops below 9.45, it'll cut my losses automatically.
Okay, cool.
And that's the whole point of a stop loss. Okay.
All right, cool. So it basically prevents you from losing anything further than what you set it for. So, all right, cool. And
and the same thing is actually happening right now that they're not letting me sell. I don't know if you saw my video about that Robinhood wouldn't let me sell.
Yeah, I saw something like that. Why would it do that?
Okay, so now it's bouncing. It's showing signs of upward momentum, right? It went above 950. It's 951, 950. So it's bouncing. So this is when you would want to get in.
Jump in. Okay.
We're in right now, but
so you bought at 950 right now, right?
949.
Okay, you bought at 949. Okay.
AMD one less or above. Okay. So AMD is breaking resistance, and this is actually one that might be a runner. Holy moly!
Wow.
Back all the way 950. This is not actually that huge. It's about 2.3%. I mean, it's pretty good. It had a huge pullback.
Yeah.
And during pre-market hours, it's a pretty good way to determine support and resistance. So you could have seen that the old support during pre-market hours was around 10.92, and that it bounced at 10.90, and our resistance was at $11, but it broke right through that. And it looks like it's gapping up, and the reason that this one looks so profitable is because if you go back 20 days, it has this huge margin of profit to make up back to all the way back up to $13. So we'll see if that ends up playing out the way that is. But you see, we're up on rig right now.
It's 954.
Yeah, but this is ridiculous because they won't let me sell. So
because you bought in at 950, yeah, so that'd be good.
No, I mean, this isn't where I want to sell, but even if I wanted to, they won't let me right now because of the restriction that I have, or supposedly have on my account, which I don't. So order types, limit, and it won't let me $9 and let's say the first resistance at $9.60. Let's say I just want to sell at $10. You're marked as a pattern day trader. You may place day trades only if your portfolio ends in. So it says I'm marked as a pattern day trader, yet I have one day trade left. So if you can see, I only have 2 out of my 4, but if I still have 1 day trade left. So, but now I need to call them and go from there. But this is so frustrating.
So with day trading, you're only allowed to buy and sell How many times a day?
Buy and sell within 3 times out of a 5-day period.
Okay. 3 times out of a 5-day period.
And this is Robinhood. Yeah, like we're up. We did it perfectly, right? There's going to be a slight resistance here at $9.60, but that's pretty much it. So I want to see what these people are actually saying.
Please press 2. To reach the Robinhood Financial Trade Desk, please press 3. For general.
All right, so
Welcome to the Robinhood Trade Desk. If you have questions about a recent stock split, dividend, or any other corporate action, please press 1. If you have questions about your gold account or other margin features, please press 2. If you need to speak with a broker to place a closing trade, please press 3.
rig, so people are calling rig.
This call is being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, please disconnect at this time.
We're still live too.
Yeah, we're still live.
Okay, cool.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I hope you guys found today's video actually helpful with the whole kind of his questions, my answers, and kind of our whole thought process. This is what we do every single morning, in a sense, analyzing stocks, identifying potential, setting up plans, and then sticking to it. So I hope you guys saw my trade on rig. I'll let you guys know on how my outcome ends up coming out. But as I was trying to set my stop loss, as we try to do every single time we trade, because you always want to minimize loss, it actually didn't let me do that. So we're gonna have to end it here. Again, the link is down below if you guys want to join. If there's anything I can do to help you guys out, please feel free to DM me. And we'll see you guys later. Like always, let's make sure that we end the week on a green out. Take care, guys.